Yes.
We'll cover what we can in a half hour.
Okay, welcome everyone. 6:30, so our planned our meeting, we planned our meeting to start at 6:30 so we could accommodate a public hearing for Randy Martin at 6:30 and move in at 7 o'clock into our forum on housing. So I call this meeting to order. And I call the public hearing for Randy Martin, PRE. I call that hearing to order. Right?
No butter present, so. Oh,
Yeah, well, that is not here.
Kathy's not here yet.
Well. Do we have somebody that could take?
She said she might be a few minutes late.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
I did not accept the, whatever the latest, notice to abutters that just came out a few weeks ago, because the post office wouldn't leave it house and drive to the post office, just to pick up something I know what it is already.
Oh,
No. So I don't know if that was yours or not, and it might have been curious here.
So maybe just give it a few seconds for Kathy, but what do we have here, Randy? So we have the Mylars and. Mm-hmm.
oh, maybe you can use a microphone.
Yeah, use the microphone, turn it on.
What I was hoping to do is go over the changes and things that you guys had asked for.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. You have the floor.
Can I sit? Is that fine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Good, okay. Well, thank you guys first for all this effort, because it's been back and forth and on, but I appreciate it very much. And I think that we have everything through October 7th. There were 4 items that the board was wanting to know a little bit more about, or at least have in the file for the application. Excuse me. The first one was the flood easement deed, and that's been submitted. And I did get confirmation that you guys had that for the file, and it was fine. The second thing is the road, private road waiver. We had that placed not only in the notes on the plan, and Bruce has the new set of plans, it's been added to note number 17. And it's the verbiage that you suggested, and also in the Declaration of Covenants. It's section 5.3. So that is in both documents, and I think that really covers it very well. That was one of the suggestions. The open space easement was the third question that was open still for being able to further define what the open space was for. And we did that on plan on notes number 18, we added on the first page. And of course, those will both be recorded. It's also in the Homeowners Association Covenants, section 1.14. And you guys have a copy of that, which I gave you a few days ago. So I think that we're very clear on those things, and hopefully have met what you guys think are the requirements that you're looking to see. As far as the waivers, I think the most important one is number 1, that you guys were wanting to waive all the fees for me. Okay, good. You're listening. So we can get to that, but I'll go down the list. I think if that's the easiest, Nicole was kind enough to really outline everything as far as a proper request. And what I did was kind of connect the waivers that we had talked about originally, and then the waivers that we had gone through. And so what I can do is kind of tie those into Nicole's waiver list that we had submitted a week ago. So I think it's probably 10 days ago. So hopefully you guys have had a time to look at that a little bit. But I think we're in very good shape with everything. Russ was kind enough to help out with his list back to me from 2 meetings ago, and suggestions that he had. So we've gone through that, and most of the things Nicole has addressed in her document. And then I also just wanted to be sure to go through so that in basically layman's terms, we were all pretty clear on what it was that we were looking at. So on number 3, I don't know which list, there's 3 different lists going around. But on number 3, that corresponds both to Russ's list and my list that I submitted to you guys twice. It's concerning the building permit. And so in the document that we've submitted, that's generally a DES permit with the building permit. And so we're hoping to waive that as part of the application. And we had talked about that and basically agreed on it, but it's in writing here in Nicole's list of
Waiver
things.
request, is this the document you're talking about?
Yes.
What number is that?
That
Or
is,
what, I guess they're not numbered, but
yeah, see, that's why it's kind of confusing.
which corresponding?
It's the one about the building permit.
I didn't see one related to building permits.
It was, we had talked about DES not needing it because of the building permit. Because that would happen through, okay. Oh, that's. Okay, well, we can that aside for right now
Okay.
and going, because I know we're short on time. Number 4, it's on, what we had asked for is not to have to do the whole points and boundaries of the big piece of land, which actually is already surveyed anyway, and it's in the town documents in other plans. So we're requesting that waiver, and that's the first one on the list here. Number 5, that is on the sheets with the plan with Sanford. So those have been already taken care of.
Are you talking about the proposed septic drainage and wells location?
Yes,
So yeah, they're on the plans. I think, wasn't the waiver just for the ones that were within 1,000 feet?
yes.
It was
and that was
specific
the-
to that.
Well, we actually put it on the plan,
Oh, you did?
so it's on the plan. It's,
So you don't need a waiver for this?
I don't need a waiver for
Okay.
that.
One of my
So
questions.
that's on the thing. Then number 6, the stamp is on the plan from Sanford, so that
Yeah.
was done on the last.
That is listing than I am, but.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the thing, you got to kind of time well in.
Yeah,
So that's on the plan, and I believe that's on page 3 was the wetland stamp. Then number 7 is on Nicole's list, and that is the septic shown next to my house, which is within 1,000 feet of the boundary
yeah,
of the,
okay.
so we don't need a waiver for that. Number 8 is the land suitable for building, and that's on Nicole's third one down, 4.02.
And what's the reason for that?
Well, actually, when we wrote the application, we were concerned whether that was something we really needed, because if it was suitable, then we wouldn't really need it on the plan, but
It's something that we put in the notice of decision. It's kind of the reason like why we look at these projects is
Yeah.
for us to determine if it is suitable for development.
okay,
So I'm inclined to not waive that one myself. I don't know how others feel, but I don't think we've ever had an application that we haven't found the land suitable for
right,
development.
that's
So
what I mean.
I don't want to
It doesn't
alarm
make
you by
sense.
saying that,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's.
Okay,
that's
well, I
fine.
just wanted to address it so that we knew that we had talked about it and that obviously it's suitable for development.
Sure.
So that's that. And then number 9 and 10 kind of go together. The road is existing, the driveways, we looked at that on the site visit on the 7th, and we
Mhm.
kind of said the driveway would go up on one side and the long road was the other driveway. And the end of the road, the short road, is where the first house is. So it was very self-evident. So I don't know, 9 and 10 are the 4th and 5th ones that Nicole has on her list as far as addressing that. And then electric and telephone, that's on the list for it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
Number 5 down. Number 6 down, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The title,
303.
title says proposed utilities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in any event, that's all going to be underground. So that will be certainly noted when Eversource comes in to do that. Then the contours, we did add that, and we also added a note on the 3rd page that says how it was mapped and what system was used for that.
Where is that, Randy? Oh, right here.
Third
No,
page.
under the note.
Exactly.
Got it.
So that's what you guys
LiDAR
wanted to
data.
have that on there. And then number 13 was the septic and sewage. And again, when the house gets built, that will be through the DES, through the building permit
That's the
and
detail.
select board. So that's a waiver at this point.
So I think we addressed that in the notice of decision also, and just saying pending DES. approval.
Yes, exactly.
So it's
That's
not
it.
really a waiver, it's a.
Right,
just
but
a
it's
statement
not
of-
specific to this. Okay, no, that's completely correct. So then the storm drainage, we also looked at that when we did the walk, and we realized that, you know, it was very straightforward land. There was no real need or really practicality for any more of that. So we were hoping to waive that, and that's the second to last one on Nicole's list.
Okay,
And that's what I have on my list.
yeah, and then there's the one list from Nicole, I think there's the road profiles, existing streets and road conveyance, which, if you're doing a private road,
Right.
this would make sense.
Were there any other comments that anyone from the board had on that?
Well, I guess on the proposed storm drainage, if
Yeah.
you could give something in writing, why the land, why you think that one should be waived,
Okay.
just a question I have. Or I
Well,
don't know if there, of what.
we
you-
we kind of talked about that when we were
Yeah.
walking, and everyone felt that it was very straightforward. I mean, the back lot, it's level,
Right,
and then the middle lot's up on the hill, and the driveway goes behind it, and the front lot's right on the front. So there really wasn't any real issue there or something that needed to be addressed even in future.
yeah, I mean, it's asking for more than what we would need, I agree.
And certainly when, you know, the town comes in and looks at the driveway with Ken, the select board, they're going to look at all that as well. So if you want to put that in with the other things with DES, that's totally fine with me if that works for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that one.
Yeah, I do know the road agent does, when you issued a permit for your driveway, he decides whether the culvert's needed or not.
Mhm.
And that road has been existing since Kenny Whitcomb has been using those fields. So it's an old
Right.
road, and it's been totally fine. It's actually all on ledge anyway, so it's not going to wash out right now.
On the road, so, for the waiver, I know you put the language on the plans. Did you take it from that document that I had sent you from our
Yes.
town attorney?
Yes.
Because they had asked for a separate document to be filed. I don't know, Nicole's probably aware there's a new RSA that is now requiring something like this, a waiver for the towns for class 6 roads, so.
It's not a class 6 road.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're just
Right.
recommending that we do
Right.
the same now for private roads as well. So I don't know if you're, Bill,
I mean,
what
do
you
we
think.
really need to do that? I'm happy to look. at
I'm
it.
willing to put it back to our town attorney to ask them.
Okay.
We had the discussion, it does seem like overkill maybe to
Yeah,
have
I mean,
it.
the road's
both places.
100 feet long and it's very high and dry.
Well, her point was that the HOA documents could be
Yeah.
amended versus having a document like this, which
Right.
won't change.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that was her reason for
I see.
justifying. Right, right. Right. Yeah, so I'm willing to put it back to our attorney and ask that question.
Yeah, I think it's really fine, but certainly you guys, it's your decision. So that was pretty much what you guys had asked from us through October 7th, and then that was obviously the last meeting.
Mhm.
And so I don't think there's anything else that I had that was pending or an issue.
So the next step for us is to send the documents to our attorney for
That's
review.
correct. Yep.
And that's something that we would unfortunately bill you for, to have her review the documents. So I don't.
Why is that?
It's just in our subdivision regs that the applicant pays for fees outside of what's covered here.
Where is that? Could I see that?
Sure. The subdivision regs are somewhere.
I think the only relevant thing for the homeowners association's documents are the road.
I mean, when I looked at the Sarah Drive file, there were pages from Bill Drescher reviewing their HOA documents, so
Hmm.
I know it's been done in the past. Let's see.
That's a very different piece of land too. The Sarah Drive land.
Gonna take me a minute to find it. Wonder if it's under the fees. Did I have an application? Yeah. I don't know, but it's, Russ has the application. I know there's an RSA that refers to it.
Well, you should probably, next time you talk to Laura Spector Morgan, check in with her because the ZBA got in trouble, over,
Right, okay,
This-
well, I'll just, yeah,
I mean, there are some things can be billed, some things can't, and we need to know
Right.
that,
yeah. It would probably take me longer to look for it than to just ask the question, and we do have to have it reviewed anyway, so we'll keep you posted on that.
So would the next order of business be to accept the,
We could probably do a conditional approval. We do have to vote on the waivers.
Mm.
I'll entertain a motion, from somebody on the board to accept the waivers as written
Oh, I think we've,
or as amended.
yeah, so I think we've on the waiver request, we have said, this second one is irrelevant because it's going to be covered during during the in the conditions of approval.
Mhm.
And then same for the sanitary sewage. And then we can vote on that one. The statement of land suitability. I think that's the only two that we would remove.
Okay. So which two are we removing?
This one and this, one.
This one here?
Yep.
And then this one?
Yep.
Okay. So the motion would be to accept the waiver request with eliminating the one waiver for proposed septic drainage and well locations and eliminating the other waiver for sanitary sewage and computations.
Yes. And then we should vote on this one separately, the land suitability one. Personally, I'm inclined to not approve that one, but I don't know how others feel about it.
Mhm.
All the others, I don't have an issue with.
Yeah.
Do you want to vote on that one first?
Yeah, so I guess what would the motion be for that?
Well, it's the motion to waive the statement of land suitability.
Yeah. So the only reason why the land wouldn't be suitable is because there hasn't been any test pits done? Is that,
It's a bench.
so why,
There's no reason why it wouldn't be
so
suitable,
why would there be a reason why it wouldn't be, so I
that
guess,
we wouldn't need to waive it.
oh,
We shouldn't need to waive it.
Where does the statement of condition go? Because I think when I was drafting this, I was assuming we were requesting a waiver from putting it on the plan somewhere.
It doesn't have to be in the plan. You're saying on your plan that it follows all of the guidelines in the subdivision regulations. Like it follows all the rules.
Okay, so you think it's already on the plan?
So I think that general statement covers you, and what we're saying is with the exception of these things that we're waiving. But that's what we're voting on, is the waivers. On your plan, it says it follows and meets all the regulations of the town of Temple zoning ordinance. Subdivision.
Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing is that would, on the plan is where you would expect to see the statement. And you guys will determine whether or not that statement is already there.
We're not saying that this specific statement has to be on the plan. We're just determining if the land is suitable for development. It doesn't have to say that exact wording.
So does it not need to be a waiver then, I guess?
Yeah, that's what I'm
we're
saying.
saying.
It doesn't
need
need to be a waiver. But they've requested it, so
Okay, but I think we can, where you remove it, is that?
are we gonna remove that?
So I make the motion that we remove that waiver as it's unnecessary.
Okay. So then we're removing these three.
Second,
so we're removing this one?
Yep.
This one?
Yep.
And which one?
This one.
This one here, okay. All right, so are we gonna make a motion to remove all three individually or three different motions?
I think just one motion.
One motion? Okay, do you want to make the motion
sure.
to remove this one, and this one from the waiver request?
Okay, yep, I make a motion that we remove the proposed septic drainage and wells locations, the statement of land suitability, and the sanitary sewage and computations. And from the waiver request.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Carter, how do you vote? Jim?
Yes.
I vote yes.
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 As an abutter, I have to abstain unless the applicant allows me to vote. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay.
So then we'll vote to accept the other waivers,
Okay.
the rest of the waivers.
So make the motion for accepting the rest of it. You don't have to read them all.
Yep, I'll make a motion that we accept the remaining waiver requests.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Carter, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
I vote yes.
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 Okay, motion passes to accept the waivers. Now.
Well, you close hearing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak in regards to the subdivision? If not, I am going to close the hearing portion of this meeting. Okay, the hearing portion of this meeting is closed. Now we'll entertain a motion
I
to,
think we need to continue to the next meeting so that our attorney can review the HOA document. So our next meeting is November 4th. Second, November 4th. So we'll continue to November 4th.
so is that a motion?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what, 7:05?
Mm-hmm. 7:05.
No, 7:05, regular.
7:05.
Oh, we have another, yeah, 6:30.
Oh, another 6:30. Good catch.
Thank you.
Good catch.
Thanks.
Okay, so do we have a second for your motion? Christine?
Second.
Okay. The motion is to, for a continuance of the hearing to November 4th at 6:30. Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
I vote yes.
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 So then I will send this off to our attorney for review and get back to you. Nothing.
You like nothing. So we'll vote to accept. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Is Sarah here?
Yes, yes,
Just got here.
Excuse me.
If the microphone's on, you should turn it off, please.
Why? Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm,
Well, unless we give it to Sarah.
yeah, where'd you go?
Thanks,
Thank you,
Randy.
Thank you. So we still have 3 minutes.
Oh, there she is.
You want to do the minutes?
We could do the minutes and we could talk about this too. Well, we have a few minutes before the public forum. We could take a look at the minutes, approve the minutes from our October 7th meeting.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything?
I did.
Move they be accepted as written.
Second.
Okay, Carter, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
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 Okay, minutes are approved. And we also have the Beal subdivision. We have the Mylars that need to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds in Nashua. And we have a check. Which I guess that's what that's for.
Yep,
There
there's
is,
two.
yeah. Yeah, so the question is. Okay, these are paper copies.
Yep.
Is there anybody that goes that way that would be willing to do that? Not, I'll find a way to get them there.
I'll record them.
You go down.
I'll get down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Those are the.
So one is for the town, right? This is all town, yeah. Thank you, Matt.
It's always an adventure.
I've been there.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
well, I think we're close.
maybe we'll just rearrange the room.
Yeah, that's a good idea. How do we want to do that?
Well, let's ask Sarah. So thanks, everybody, for coming. We're ready to start the next session. Sarah, would you like us to rearrange?
Right.
Okay.
You listen to the presentation, because we'll kind of gather around people, we'll break down the other presentation, discuss what we've seen, and then answer these questions, that sort of thing. Oh.
So if you want to stand, you have to use that one. If you want to sit, you can use one of the table.
Don't know if I want to stand. So my question is also, this doesn't need the mic, 'cause this is logistics. Am I using my computer and plugging in? Or am I?
You could do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody needs to hear me in this moment, though. I'm just
Right.
asking how to plug in.
over here. Do you know how to show her how to do that,
Yes,
Bill?
there's a USB. Or an HDMI thing. You have a TV.
We need more chairs.
Any more chairs?
Yeah.
Probably have them. I'm not sure what it's called. Let me take a look. We heard that.
Yep.
And you know.
Our chairs out front.
Yeah, or off, yeah.
Mhm.
to the side. Nice.
Or just
And I think. Share.
Oh, no, I feel like-
Okay.
Where is the non?
Wherever you want to.
Am I gonna be all by myself at this long table?
Use my.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
We thought.
Oh, well, how are we
Maybe
gonna,
on the side?
so we're not sitting?
Maybe on the, sit on the side.
Okay.
Not behind.
How are we gonna get this to make the sound? It's difficult for the meeting. Anyway, do you have the Zoom link?
I'll get it in a minute.
Okay.
Is the Wi-Fi public here?
Yes.
Yes.
All the tables, all the chairs. Still this one. Stole your chair.
Okay. You stole our Wi-Fi connection.
So. I want to say, thank you for coming, everybody, for this, opportunity to talk about housing and council. Sarah Bollinger has been working with us for quite a while now. She is from Southwest Regional Planning. And, she's here tonight to give, us a lot of, really want your community, want the input from all of you in the community. She's here to help facilitate that and tell you what we've been working on and what our ideas are, and we want to hear what you have to say.
Just as soon as I get through all of the,
Someone has changed our Wi-Fi connection note that used to be up. Anybody remember the password for here?
which one am I?
The Temple Phone. Yeah, something like that, Temple 18.
I don't even see Temple Town Hall listed. There's the library and the library. There's Temple CCI.
That's trouble.
Okay. What did we say the password was?
It's Temple County T, 1768 is law. Yeah.
What is it?
Temple and 1768.
That's not about right.
Oh, 1768.
There it is.
Okay. Found it and. Yes, we're in. Okay, just have to find the Zoom next. Sorry, you guys.
Carter, you'll need to let her share her screen. She gets in.
I don't, you mean, is she coming in the Zoom? Is that?
Yeah, I will be, but wow, you guys. Changed your website
Yes.
in the last
New website.
couple weeks.
The wonders of technology.
I'm looking for the Zoom link.
Okay. Have it on speaker.
That's a lot to type in.
Yeah.
It's, the meeting note should be on the.
On the agenda.
on the phone.
That's what I was looking for. Oh, my goodness. This is a wonderful beginning, everybody. I really appreciate your patience.
Well, you could have gotten unlucky or even maybe more lucky. Our AV system doesn't work half the time.
Then I think I'm in really good shape tonight.
We did last year. I see. Slave and art stuff. Okay.
Well, we're waiting.
Yes, I'm just entering the meeting passcode.
If people talk about it, microphones will probably pick up conversation. As I said.
We used some sort of.
I think I've got the meeting ID already. I think I'm just at the passcode. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I got one right here.
Yeah, there's right here.
Now this will be the really embarrassing part while I try to figure out how I can view my notes and get this set up for you all. So again, I really, really appreciate everybody's patience because I am a planner. I am not an AV person. I was supposed to have shared. But yeah.
Does it say?
Shares.
There it is. Okay, amazing. Hey, it's working, you're not seeing my notes. Okay, everybody, again, thank you for all of your patience and thank you for being here tonight. Oh. Sorry, is that? Okay. While I swallow the microphone, good evening. My name is Sarah Bollinger, and as you've already learned, I'm a planner with Southwest Region Planning Commission. I am using the microphone, apparently not well. Is this better for everybody? That's fine. Okay, so I've been working with Temple since last winter on their second round of Housing Opportunity Planning, or HOP, a grant funded by Invest New Hampshire as part of the third phase in a larger project that is aimed at creating real opportunities for affordable housing in Temple. Tonight's meeting is one in a series of community conversations supported through this grant. The purpose of tonight's session is to focus on two ordinances, workforce housing and planned residential development, and to hear your thoughts on proposed updates that could make them more effective. We recognize that people have strong feelings on this topic. Our goal is not to persuade you one way or the other, but to make sure everyone understands what is being proposed so you can make informed decisions when these amendments come to a vote. If tonight's discussion helps you see new possibilities and you come out in support, that's great. If you remain unconvinced, that's okay too. What matters is that you have the information that you need to decide for yourself. We are joined by Scott Slattery, an economic development field specialist from Hillsborough County from UNH Cooperative Extension in the back there. He'll be helping us with the small group discussions later on, and Scott is here in a totally neutral role, so feel free to be completely honest with your feedback. Tonight, we're going to have a brief overview of the previous work that has been accomplished, where we are now in the process, and how you can help. We're looking for your feedback to help form revisions to the Workforce Housing Ordinance and the Planned Residential Development Ordinance. Your role is really important. Tonight is about shaping, not deciding. These are ideas for updating the zoning, but nothing is final. We want to know how these proposals feel to the community. You may recognize the presentation boards in the back corner over there. These were displayed at community events in September where folks began reacting to these concepts, so you may have already seen or interacted with them. You are welcome to mark your support or concerns directly on the boards if you wish to before you leave tonight. We're going to go through each topic and give you a chance to weigh in. Your feedback will directly shape how these zoning amendments are drafted for public hearings this winter. From there, final changes will go to a town vote in March. So this is your chance to help calibrate them at an early stage. We will cover a lot of material. I will pause and check in with you all to make sure everyone understands the new terms and concepts before we move on to more ideas. You will notice QR codes on several slides throughout this presentation. Your feedback on these concepts is important to the process. As we ask questions throughout the presentation, if you prefer to provide anonymous feedback, you can do so on a form that the QR code will load. The QR code on each of these slides will bring you to the same form, so you only have to scan it once and you'll have all of the questions right there. We have printouts of the form available as well on the table behind Scott in the back of the room if you prefer to capture your feedback that way, but you can also just say, hey, I have an opinion, and that works as well as we're going through. So I know this was already asked, but I wasn't listening because I was struggling with my computer. Did anybody here participate in the previous HOP work? As I stare you all down. Okay, that's fine. I'm sure the planning board did. So you guys could have raised your hands, just saying. Well, coming together like this, as we're doing tonight, has always been part of how Temple plans for its future. Community input has guided each phase of this work, and tonight's discussion continues that tradition. Does anybody wish to share why they came tonight? Secrets. Okay, we'll move on. The conversation began in 2018 when the town updated its vision statement for the master plan. As residents considered Temple's community identity and what the future could look like, the ability to provide attainable housing for Temple's residents quickly rose to the forefront. In 2020, a community survey showed a growing openness to alternative housing types among residents. Many respondents expressed support for middle housing, like duplexes and cottages, and more flexible zoning tools, so long as they preserve what Temple residents value most: open space, rural character, and historic identity. This was followed in 2022 by a Plan New Hampshire design charrette where residents looked at the potential for affordable housing on town-owned land near the Temple Elementary School and discussed zoning strategies that could allow more housing variety while protecting rural character. Ideas such as a neighborhood overlay district and form-based code were explored as ways to shape new development in keeping with Temple's character. Together, these steps made it clear that the next phase wasn't more conversation, it was action. To truly enable housing variety, the town would need to look closely at its land use regulations and master plan and identify where targeted changes could open the door to more diverse housing choices. Building on that start, in 2023, the town was awarded HOP funding to update chapters in the master plan and conduct a comprehensive audit of zoning, subdivision, and site plan regulations. The master plan update included broad community engagement through surveys, public listening sessions, and visual preference activities, where residents could react to different housing examples and talk about what might feel right for Temple. That process further highlighted a big gap in middle housing, the smaller, more affordable housing options that Temple is mostly lacking. The findings were folded into a master plan update as recommendations for how local land use regulations could be revised to support more variety. And importantly, this work set the stage for the ordinance updates we've been working on in phase 3. This current phase is about implementation. Since last spring, the town has adopted several important zoning changes that we'll walk through in a moment. The town has also updated its subdivision and site plan review regulations based on recommendations from the audit in phase 2. Now, the planning board is working on refinements to the planned residential development, or PRD, and workforce housing regulations. Your feedback tonight will help shape the next set of updates. The housing needs analysis and regulatory review showed us where zoning was preventing the kinds of housing people in town were asking for, things like smaller homes, housing young families can afford, and options for seniors looking to downsize. Last spring, the town adopted 3 key zoning amendments to reduce barriers to developing more attainable housing. Residents can now build both an attached and a detached accessory dwelling unit on the same lot without needing double acreage. Residential parking requirements have been reduced, lowering construction costs and reducing land disturbance. These parking reforms bring us closer to the new state requirement, but further revision will be necessary to bring the zoning ordinance into alignment with state law. Existing single-family homes can now be converted into up to 3 units of housing, giving us more flexible use of what we already have. These changes came directly out of that earlier HOP work, and they show that modest, thoughtful updates can make a real difference. As we finish phase 3, we are focusing on revising Temple's PRD and workforce housing ordinances. The goal is to make these tools more effective and to create clearer pathways for affordable and diverse housing in Temple. But first, a little background. Does anybody know what a planned residential development is? Hey, we got one. Excellent. A planned residential development, or PRD, is a type of conservation subdivision. It may be developed in the rural residential and agricultural district on properties with at least 6 acres. A PRD is different from a traditional subdivision because there is a requirement that 40% of the land area is dedicated as permanent open space that will never be developed. It also differs from a traditional subdivision because the individual lots within a PRD may have flexibility in lot sizes and frontage, allowing homes to be clustered together, reducing sprawl and land disturbance. The Sarah Drive neighborhood, shown here, is an example of a PRD in town. We're looking at ways to make it easier to develop more affordable housing and diverse housing types within PRDs by revising 3 key provisions and adding a 4th. The Workforce Housing Ordinance allows increased development flexibility in exchange for housing units that are affordable to people who earn 60 to 80% of the area median income. The ordinance is based on state law. In Temple, you can only take advantage of this flexibility if you build workforce housing in a PRD. Does anybody know how many workforce housing developments we have in Temple? 0. There are 0 workforce housing developments in Temple. Is everybody with me so far? Because it's just important that everybody knows what a PRD is, because that's the main thing we're talking about tonight. Okay, just checking. Okay, we're going to focus on proposed changes to the PRD ordinance first. One change we're looking at is how base density is calculated in a planned residential development. Right now, PRDs can end up with fewer homes than a conventional subdivision on the same piece of land. This proposal would fix that by aligning the PRD rules with the subdivision rules, so the math is the same in both cases. This would encourage the development of PRDs over conventional subdivisions. Base density is the number of homes allowed per acre of land under existing zoning. In other words, in this part of town, you need 2 acres to build a house, and in that part of town, you need 5 acres to build a house. That's all that base zoning means. In a conventional subdivision, you take the total land area of the property to be subdivided, minus any new roads, and divide it by the minimum lot size for the zoning district. In the rural residential and agricultural district, the only place where we can build a PRD, the minimum lot size is 3 acres. The way the PRD ordinance is currently written, base density excludes all undevelopable land from the calculation. Let's look at an example. You have a 12.5 acre property in the rural residential and agricultural district. 5 acres of that land are not developable because they contain wetland areas and steep slopes. In a conventional subdivision, you are allowed to possibly create 4 new lots, 3 acres each, provided water, septic, setbacks, and frontage requirements can be met. In a PRD right now, that same property could only be subdivided into 2 lots because we can't count that undevelopable land in the base density calculations. We're proposing to bring the density calculation of PRDs in line with the formula used in a conventional subdivision, meaning that in either case, the base density for our example property would be 4 lots. Is everybody with me so far? Okay. We want to help people choose to develop PRDs over traditional subdivisions because PRDs require that at least 40% of the property be set aside as planned permanent open space. That open space is protected in perpetuity, reducing land disturbance and helping to preserve woodlands, wetlands, scenic areas, and other important features. Unlike unused land in a conventional subdivision, all of which becomes someone's yard, PRD open space is intentional. It has a planned use, whether as neighborhood trails, a park, agricultural conservation land, or something like that, and it will never be developed. In exchange for this permanent protection, PRDs provide greater flexibility. The planning board may reduce requirements such as lot size or road frontage when it makes sense for the property, making it possible to cluster homes in ways that protect sensitive land and create stronger neighborhood design. Encouraging PRDs provides several important benefits for Temple. PRDs permanently protect a large area of land as open space, helping to maintain the town's rural character, scenic views, and ecological functions. PRDs, as proposed, encourage different housing types. The proposed changes could include smaller units and multifamily options that aren't always possible in conventional subdivisions. This creates more opportunities for middle housing. By offering a broader range of housing choices, PRDs make it easier for residents to remain in Temple as their needs change, whether downsizing, starting out, or aging in place. PRDs should start with the same unit count as a conventional subdivision. Okay, this does make sense though? Everybody's following?
Then you said it also allows for multifamily dwelling.
Different types of housing. We will get to that shortly. I don't know if it's the next slide. It might be the one after that, but this is a separate provision of the changes that are being proposed.
Well, but the page with the previous, right, to along with the new statement. Now also will also, yeah, that's too. So I'm trying to.
Sort of, but that will be explained very soon. I promise. I just don't want to say it twice, but that's an excellent question. Is there anything else with where we're at right now? Okay, so our first question, which I'm hoping people will be like, pick me, or you can scan the QR code, or again, there's forms behind Scott in the corner. Do you think this change, aligning the base density in the PRDs with the subdivisions, would make PRDs a more attractive option? Is this something that you could potentially support if this is presented at the town vote in March? Please.
Yeah. To have the subdivision rules and PRD rules in terms of base density makes.
I agree. But with the crickets, I just want to make sure you guys understand what's being proposed.
That base density calculation for PRD is being changed.
Yes.
Do not count undeveloped land in the calculation when you divide by minimum lot size. Because I'm trying to, your 12.5 acre example, okay, in a 5 acre minimum zoning piece of land.
So it's a 3 acre minimum.
But because you're now excluding, I forget how much it says, wetlands, you can now get one more unit on that property, and the trade-off for that decision is that then 40% of the entirety of the 12.5 acres would have to in perpetuity be wild, you know.
Open space. Yeah. So
Is that basically the concept?
sort of, but I might have tangled what you said in my mind. So I'm going to repeat it back to you and we'll see if we're saying the same thing. So right now, if this 12.5 acre property were developed as a PRD, and 5 acres of it can't be developed because of the wetlands, the PRD ordinance is written such that you have to subtract that 5 acres from the total parcel. So then you only have 7.5, and the base density is 3 acres. So you can only put 2. So we're trying to make it so this is the same as the subdivision regulations, which would allow 4. Because the subdivision regulations don't require you to subtract undevelopable land. They are, however, you have to have a 3-acre minimum, whereas the PRDs create more flexibility. Correct. Okay, does anybody else need any clarification on this before we move on?
Well, they would property would have to have 300 feet of road frontage for every parcel that is. So it'd be more spread out. It couldn't be like a narrow lot.
Right.
It would be the salary on 100 houses. Yeah.
But that's an untraditional,
Right,
not in a thicker.
right. Right, so if you go to the already was I think there can be less road frontage.
Correct.
For PRD, yes.
Yes, and that's one of the goals with the PRD, to have less road frontage so you have less land disturbance. Because the idea is conserving land when you choose this subdivision tool. Okay, shall we move on? Okay. Okay, now that everybody understands base density, we're going to take a look at bonus density. A density bonus is a planning tool and also an incentive that allows more homes to be built than base zoning would normally permit. In exchange for those additional homes, the project provides something of value in addition to housing back to the community. That could be things like affordability, open space, or green infrastructure, or whatever the town decides it wants in exchange for those extra units. For example, if base zoning allows 10 homes on a piece of land, a density bonus might allow 12 or 15, but only if the project includes benefits the town is seeking. It's an incentive because a property owner has choices. They could build a couple of large single-family homes that sell for a high price, or they could use the density bonus to create several smaller, more attainable homes and still make the project financially viable. The community gains things it needs, while property owners gain flexibility to design projects that make sense. In the end, density bonuses are a way to encourage housing that aligns local needs with community goals. Do we have any questions about the concept of a density bonus before we discuss the density bonuses that we're proposing? Correct.
Oh, it's the new baseline.
Correct. So next, we're looking at changing the density bonuses that are associated with PRDs. Under the current PRD regulations, density bonuses are capped at 25%, and they are only offered for the inclusion of workforce housing units. We are proposing to expand the types of bonuses offered and increase the overall cap to allow stacking of different bonus types. All bonus density will still be subject to water and septic standards. In addition to the existing workforce housing bonus, we are proposing a small unit bonus of up to 25% more units if the units are 1,200 square feet or less. In addition to reducing land disturbance, encouraging smaller units offers cost savings, helping to create more of that missing middle housing in town. A shared service bonus of up to 10% more units when units share wells and/or septic systems. This reduces land disturbance and development costs, which ultimately reduce the cost of the housing. And we're also considering a low impact development bonus of up to 10% more units when ecologically sensitive stormwater management practices are used. Low-impact development methods replicate the natural hydrology on a property. Methods could include rain gardens, permeable pavement, vegetated swales, and green roofs, among other things. Do you guys think these bonuses seem like a good way to create some housing diversity while still protecting Temple's character and open space? Yeah.
How does that work as far as maintenance and who owns what usage? Things that get paid, like one family uses one more than a family. So how does that control?
As part of the review and approval process by the planning board, there would be homeowners association documents that, yes, so there would be an HOA that determines all of that.
So you would maintain the current 25% density bonus for affordability as well as these additional.
Yes.
And you mentioned stacking, so does that mean if you did all of these, you could have up to 70%?
No. But that's what we're getting to on the next slide. Yes. It's in the town regs.
And how are we defining the unit?
What do you mean?
Long unit.
A unit is it could potentially be either if that other provision that you're waiting with bated breath to hear about, which is unfortunately like a little bit further on, but I promise we will get to it. So the answer is in here. And in this instance, it could be either if an additional provision, which currently seems like a secret, but it's not, we're getting to it. If everything is adopted, it could be up to a 3-unit small unit multifamily is what's being proposed. Yes.
My concern is with the HOA.
Mm-hmm.
Because HOAs basically work on the theory of large numbers. You have 20 houses, you might have 5 people that want to put some effort into it. If you have 4 houses, to use this example, it's really possible that you have nobody that gives a damn about taking care of anything. You know, or they don't know how. So the well fails, nobody knows what to do with it, or the leach field fails and needs to be replaced, and it turns into a huge pissing contest about who's going to deal with it. I mean, what's the plan for, because in Temple, we're not going to have, hopefully, a 20-person PR, a 20-house PRD. It's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's where HOAs fall apart, because the theory of large numbers doesn't work with small numbers. It also doesn't work with even numbers. I lived through a $100,000 expense in an HOA neighborhood where we have a shared driveway with 6 houses, and the conservation rules changed. And we had 3 people refusing to want to do anything, and 3 wanted to, and it took multiple years in court to get resolved. And in the meantime, the environment's being harmed. So my only observation to your comment is, we ought to think long and hard about making sure for these HOAs, where there's shared services that can damage the environment, that there be an odd number of units. Well, first, we already require HOAs, and we have PRDs that have 3 houses. Yes, yeah. But this could also be handled by deed restrictions. Planning board would say, no, we have to have in your covenants and your deed that you're responsible for. So it doesn't have to be strictly the homeowner association. It's just having lived through it, we need to plan ahead for it, because it will happen. It's human nature. And the whole benefit I'm getting here out of these PRDs for getting more affordable housing is so we can set aside a lot of land and preserve it. And that's a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I said, I lived through it, yeah, Massachusetts, but they had an informal dispute, and they didn't think of it, so.
But then it seems like the way to go would be require covenants and deeds that establish responsibilities. That's legally binding.
In particular, when there's shared services, if it's not shared services, it's like if your neighbor doesn't wanna pay their bill on their roof, knock yourself out, right? But it's the shared services that kind of, to your point, communitize it, right, where larger numbers make that problem that I described less likely. But if you've got 2 or 4 or 6, it's, yeah. It can be ugly. You know?
I think the only other thing I'd say to sort of address that, because I'm not an expert in HOA agreements and that sort of thing, but I do know, as I heard at the end of the planning board public hearing that just happened, all of those HOA documents are reviewed by council before a new PRD is approved. And so I don't want to say I'm putting it in the hands of the person who knows more, but I do trust in that process. And I don't know if that is helpful for you to hear that, but yeah. And it's a good observation.
Basically, yeah, hire your picky, but some of them are just not gonna wanna pay for some.
Yep.
It's economics. So.
Sure,
We
sure.
just need to think about that when we, as a town, have the meetings to approve new.
Yeah.
PRDs or subdivisions or whatever you want to call
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else have a question on this before we move to the next slide? Okay.
So if we can do the shared services provision, you're okay with the other stuff? The low impact development, small ones.
Won't that complicate the septic situation? We still have to have a minimum lot size.
Yeah, potentially.
Right, for the state requirements.
Yeah.
What are the state requirements? I don't know, the setback requirements for your septic system. It has to be approved by the state. Now, it's not going to be approved by the state.
Mhm. Yeah,
My
and
first house that I had in town was 1.23 acres. Had a septic and a well, met all their state requirements. The person that bought the house from me got an exception from the ZBA. They built a garage with an in-law apartment above it. There's 2 families living on 1.23 acres. And the well and the septic, everything seems to be working fine. So it can be done on a small footprint.
But I also believe.
Perfect soil conditions though, it's all still.
Right.
Yeah.
And
They
hope
also
you don't get.
current base it in part on the type of soil that is on that property, so.
yes.
Not every 1.2 acre lot might build up the same standard.
Absolutely, right.
Correct. And all of these provisions are subject to well and septic approvals. So if you can't provide septic on a property that you're trying to put, say, 5 smaller units or 5 regular units, in any type of PRD, you wouldn't be able to do that if you can't provide septic and water. Okay, so now we're just going to look at the bonus stacking. To answer your question, it would not be 75%, but the amount that it would be is up for discussion. And so I definitely want you guys to let us know what you think the number should be, because we don't know what the number should be. It's up to you. Right now, the PRD ordinance limits density bonuses to a 25% cap. The new proposal would allow different types of bonuses, such as workforce housing, smaller units, shared services, and low-impact development to be combined or stacked. In practice, this could mean 30% or even 50% bonus density, depending on the mix of community benefits a project provides. For example, if a project included shared wells but not shared septic, it might receive only part of the shared services bonus, such as 5% instead of the full 10%. The planning board would retain discretion in how these bonuses are awarded. And we want to hear from you. Should the cap stay at 25%? Should it be higher? The right number depends on what people feel is appropriate for Temple. To balance this flexibility, one proposed safeguard would be to limit the number of residential structures on a property to what is allowed under base density. Does everybody remember what base density is? Okay, just checking. This means bonus density could add more units overall, but not more separate buildings than base zoning allows. The diagram shows a little line through one of the squares. This represents a small unit duplex. Do we have any questions on the structure cap concept? Okay, because we're going to come back to this in another slide.
Business on the side of the property, or can you have bonuses apply to any property that qualify as PRD?
That's a really good question. And if you look in the chart here, you'll see that underneath the 30% line, it has a dash for a 6-acre property and a dash for a 9-acre property. If there was a 30% bonus, you couldn't get any of those bonuses unless your property was 12 acres or more. If there were a 50% bonus applied in the stacking, you could get a total of 3 units on 6 acres instead of the 2 that normally would be allowed. Let's see. PRDs are permitted exclusively in the what district, you guys? Yes, rural residential and agricultural district. And what is the base density in the rural residential and agricultural district? 3 acres. You are listening. Perfect. This diagram and table show how the 30 and 50% bonus scenarios would apply to different property sizes. Let's see. So in this situation, all partial units are rounded down, which is part of why you see the dashes under the 30%. So if you could potentially construct, 3.7 units of housing, you can't. You can build 3. Let's see. Yes.
So you basically got 12 units on those 4, or 12 units on those 4.
I'm not sure if ADUs are permitted in the PRD. Oh, in a regular conventional 12-acre subdivision. I suppose that's possible, yeah, if the soils allow. Yep. And no land put aside as perpetual open space. Okay, so do you remember? I did bring a print up of the current zoning ordinance, so if Carter's not able to find it, we will find it before the meeting is over and answer that question.
In fact, some of the things that will show up on the ballot this year will be zoning changes because of the enforcement on the side of the state. We have no change.
Yep.
What happens if we don't pass?
We have a legal ordinance. And in theory, we can get sued. In practice, it doesn't, it can't be enforced.
Section 19, B, standards and criteria.
Oh, you're fast. Awesome.
Right. Yeah. So sorry. I'll get that.
It's okay.
No lots shown. is granted under the PRD ordinance shall be further subdivided, and a note to this effect shall be placed on the final plat. So it can be further subdivided, but it would say it can. Put something,
It might actually be in the ADU ordinance. I'm not sure, but there are some provisions within that. And
Want you to get a base in that.
well, and the thing to remember with all of this, it's subject to the soils and septic capacity. So yes, in a hypothetical world, we could say this could mean, you know, I don't know, I can't even imagine the number, but some large number of small housing in a pretty small area. But the soils in Temple don't support that. So it wouldn't get approved. What was that? Yeah, so I don't want to say we don't have to worry about that because of course that's an important consideration, but we also need to keep it real and look at the landscape that Temple is set in. And you have a lot of ledge here and you have a lot of wetlands here. And so I don't know if any of you have found it difficult to find a place to locate your septic in this community, but it is definitely a challenge and all septic systems have to be approved by the state. Did you find? But they allow that also subject to septic approval.
And setbacks.
Yep.
So is the open question then, what should the caveat say?
That is our question. So as I think Christine found. Oh, okay, we can circle back to you then.
Not permitted.
Not permitted in PRD.
If it's single family home, sounds like it would be, right? Unless the HOA is ran out.
Or it can't meet setbacks. Or septic. Or. But this is a good question. Okay, so this is our vote, and I don't want to say you have to raise your hands. I'd love it if you guys did that so we could just kind of read the room, but if you're not comfortable, I will reiterate, we have forms behind Scott in the corner, and we have the QR code to scan. Does anybody feel comfortable with the cap being at 30% if we stacked bonuses? Okay.
Doing this to incentivize affordable housing development. What's the data on other communities that have done this with 30% or 50%? How much did it attract?
I was not able to find out. For communities that don't have public services, such as public water or public sewer, I haven't found much of what it attracts. I do know that in Antrim right now, they have a proposal that is moving through the approval process to develop, I think, 6 units of housing that's small. The average unit size across all of the units is, I think, 1,200 square feet, and it's on 1.5 acres. And there's no water or no sewer. I don't know if they're going to be able to get DES approval for this, but that's the proposal where it stands right now. So
Say
true. But right now it's about trying to remove barriers. And it is. It is. It's definitely going to be septic.
Will it hurt? Do you have septic?
It's true. It's true. So we saw a few people raise their hands for 30%. Is there anybody here who could support a 50% bonus stacking? Okay. Got one person who could do that. And remember, you guys don't have to share your opinions with us now. The form that the QR code will take you to, which I encourage you to scan so that if you think about this after you go home, you can still answer these questions because we're going to keep that form open until after the next forum in 2 weeks. So that gives you plenty of opportunity to kind of mull it over and share what you really think. Okay, so let's move on. Now we're going to talk about the structure cap. This diagram demonstrates the different density bonus options applied with or without a structure cap. This is what a 30% bonus could look like. And here is the 50% bonus with and without a structure cap. Do you have a preference one way or the other if we limit the number of structures that can be built within a PRD to base density?
How will the no structure now? So I have normal development that I can sell some, obviously not, right? If I have a mix,
Mm-hmm.
less market. But that's just my guess, and I'm not a developer. So that's why I was asking you, the trying these anywhere, you know, some case studies. Is Newry Farm and Peterborough a good example of one of these?
I didn't hear the second half.
Farm in Peterborough, a good example is, I keep flashing to that.
I'm familiar with it, but I don't know if they have septic or public sewer there. Do you know? It could be a good example, except for the affordability piece.
First, those area that are doing more cottage style developments with either a shared septic or, you know, they're all larger communities, so they have water too, so it's easier, but that, in terms of a preference for what people are looking for, especially young people, I think they prefer the small cottage style versus multi-family. But at this point, you know, people just don't want to be living in cars.
Does Temple have rules around the number of units to put in a single structure? Because I've seen in towns where they have basically townhouse style and they might have as many as 8 in a single structure.
You can't build that in Temple.
But it has to go through zone. We have an example of some 3-year-old school.
Which was not a special exception, right, the 3-unit one, but now we've changed the zone, so for converted. An older style home, you can up to 3 units in through that conversion, but you can't just go out and build.
Correct. Okay, so on this one, does anybody think there needs to be a structure cap? Pardon me, that's the important question here, because this provision, all of these provisions, they can go whatever direction, but if this is something that nobody thinks is important, we can just nix it.
The only thing is we got 6 separate units, and then everything adds to on top of that. That can triple.
Did we find the answer to that?
That HOA and ours, and it were neighbors. But it may be something that we also need to consider to be part of this, the change. If that is.
Okay, I think so the other question I first time was the 2 townhouse and duplexes, or whatever you want to call it. Is that like count 2, so we only got 1? How would that play out?
I think they count with 1 structure of 2 housing units. Is that
Yeah.
So if they could be something going in, so one additional for that.
So if they built duplexes, I don't believe they could have accessory dwelling units on that the way the ADU ordinance is written. You could only do that on the single family standalone.
Well,
40% of 1,200 square foot unit.
Now, something we have to keep in mind, it's actually been touched on, where the state is really getting concerned about the heat shortage of housing. And they're gonna be forcing regulations on us, and might say, hey, you can put ADUs on these. We don't have any control over that, but if we get out of it, at least we have a chance of saying we need whatever requirements are in the OAD wants to do.
PRD itself might be exempt from that kind of push because it is a planned residential development.
Possible.
Correct.
You know,
There's no telling what the state does.
It's true, but often the state will say in the majority of areas in your town that are zoned residential. And because this is a special subdivision tool, those extra provisions often don't apply. But you're correct. There's always a possibility that they could. Okay, so nobody thinks it's important to have a structure cap. That is good information. We're going to move on. Unless somebody really thinks it's important and they're hiding it, in which case, please use the form and share your opinions. Okay, here we go. The final change we're proposing to the PRD ordinance is allowing new small unit multifamily housing. Right now, Temple zoning allows multifamily conversions of existing homes built before March of 2025, meaning an existing single-family house can be converted into a 3-unit building. What's being proposed is the ability to build new 3-unit structures within a PRD with one important condition. Each unit must be 1,200 square feet or smaller. The reason for this is that not everyone who needs affordable housing qualifies under the state's statutory definition of workforce housing. For example, people on a fixed income or with limited means may not meet HUD's income thresholds, but they still need smaller, more attainable housing options. By limiting unit size, these will naturally be less costly to build and to buy or rent than larger single-family homes. The result is more missing middle housing, smaller scale, moderately priced homes that give people options to stay in Temple as their housing needs change. A minimum of 9 acres would be required to build one triplex without bonus density, or 6 acres with 50% bonus density. What do you guys think? Would this be good for Temple? Would this? No. One 3-unit structure on 9 acres. Yes. Yes.
In, like, some of those units be affordable, some of those units share services.
If the town approves up to a 50% bonus stacking. So you're correct, if that provision is also approved. So a triplex on 6 acres with 40% of the land set aside as perpetual open space is a possible outcome if all of these measures are adopted by the town.
30 acres, it wouldn't be like 5 tribes, all again close together and go like it.
You know, we would actually have to go back to that slide to look at that chart. Okay, so on here, you would need, you couldn't even do that with 50 acres. You could get, if you approved the 50% bonus density and you had a 50-acre parcel, you could get 25 units on that 50 acres. And that 25 units could be divided into 8 triplexes and 1 single, if you wanted to do something like that. So for this, the small unit multifamily, the structure cap, it would be 3 units per structure because there's no affordability necessarily tied to this. Now, the workforce housing ordinance, as it is currently written, allows a 6-unit structure that has no size limit, but it's anticipated that you wouldn't wind up with an enormous 6-unit building because it wouldn't be affordable to build an enormous 6-unit building. But one of the provisions that's being proposed in this ordinance update would be to bring the workforce housing ordinance in alignment with statute and reduce that 6-unit per building count down to 5. So right now you could have a 6-unit structure. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Am I? Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. But you probably would have to have at least a large portion of those 25 be small unit in order to get all of the bonuses to add up to 50%. And again, only if the town approves the 50% and only if the planning board determines that it makes sense to move forward with that based on your feedback. And there's the good dirt. We have a lot of limiting factors, but these are really good questions.
One more.
Oops.
Oh, back on.
Back one, sorry.
What is the practical difference between, trying to figure out the split of hairs here or not? What's the practical difference between the one on the right and a driveway, 2 3-unit structures, one on the right, one on the left? Does it really matter?
Only the people that don't want to live in a duplex or triplex.
Yeah, but from the developer's point of view, and quite frankly, I couldn't care less about the developer's pocketbook or anything else. I'm thinking about Temple's people. From a practical point of view, to the people in Temple, you got 6 new small families coming in. Who cares where they live? Right, does it really matter to us?
If it's single or duplex or triplex, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think the issue of the bonus cap and PRDs and whatnot is an issue. Whether it's 3 buildings of 1 and 1 building of 3, I don't see how that matters to Temple at all. I'm trying to wrap my head around that, why that's even an issue.
Well, like you say, historically, it's been an issue. People say, oh my God, multi-family housing.
Well, that is, you know, my concern is, you know, according to Fritz Rutherford, Temple is one of the 2 greatest towns in the state. And, you know, it's one of the reasons we moved here. You know, driving down the road and every 12 acres, I see that, if it's visual from, you know, General Miller Highway or whatever, that's gonna suck. Right? But if that's buried in behind where I don't see it, that's a whole lot less of an issue, because it doesn't ruin the nature of the town. Until you get so many, we start to need more cops, and we have all those issues in big towns, and I don't want to turn into a Merrimack or a Nashua. But I don't think we're talking that scale. We're talking a handful of these employers here. What's that? We need employers for that. Yeah.
I think one thing to keep in mind potentially, I don't if this is true, because I'm not a developer, but if you're building multi-family housing, typically that's not being purchased. People rented to people.
Unless it's condos.
Unless it's condos, which we will have to have ongoing with this type of change. So they could be condos, which would be able to be purchased. I think that would be one of the differences that I see in these buildings.
Condos are entry level
Right.
house, people buy them, roll them over and then buy a real house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So back to.
Oops.
So I guess.
Sorry, I went too far.
So I guess this is how we. Denied. Here is how realistic is it that some builder would want to come to Temple, 9 acres or 6 acres to build 3 little
multi-family houses. So, I mean, I don't know, the develops it for a real estate person, this is something that is never gonna happen because it's price of land was made product so expensive, it doesn't make any sense.
I talked to a developer last week that had, he asked me about thing of them coming up in town, but that's money. So they are,
So the land, plus the land here is not an issue.
Well, can I get some clarification on this? You said this was for PRDs only?
Yes.
And you were using the example of the 9 acres with one unit now, but that would mean we'd also have to change regular zoning for your scenario. With lot, right?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
To build one unit structure.
Okay. So with the PRD, the first thing that's important that's distinct from where the zoning actually is right now is you cannot build a new 3-unit structure. And since we can only have a PRD in what district? Rural residential and agricultural district. And the minimum lot size is 3 acres. If we have no density bonuses stacked or used otherwise, because this is not required to be workforce housing to do the small unit multifamily structure, it would require 9 acres to build one 3-unit structure because of the base density in rural ag. Does that make sense? Okay.
Build a house, make a SDPU, and make it detached, and I only create this for the family. That make a lot more sense than you having it for 6 acres.
but the way it is right now, you have to be deviating, it has to be more up. And their size limits.
Which will this. Well, small units.
I mean, I envision this being used by somebody who already owns a property in Temple and has an interest in a very small development of one triplex on that property, possibly, or on a much larger piece of land that a developer comes in and wants to, I don't know, maybe put 15 units of housing, and it is more affordable to develop a triplex than single family housing. And there are developers that work that way. Not all of them want to build the 4,000 square foot single family homes. There are plenty that do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are more and more that are coming around to this type of development because there are incentives through the state and through low income tax credits. And there's a lot of stuff out there trying to incentivize this type of development so that we can have more people in homes and fewer people in shelters or in cars or what have you. Yes, I think a lot of us know what that's like. So this would just be a provision that would allow that type of development. Should somebody come to Temple with that in mind, it would allow it to happen. So is this something that anybody here feels they could support? New triplexes within PRDs if the units are 1,200 square feet or smaller? I see one hand. Okay, you guys can all think about it. Okay, a few hands. What difference does it make? Okay. Moving along. Is everybody ready to move along? Okay. My computer's frozen, sorry. Now let's discuss a workforce housing overlay district. An overlay district creates special rules that differ from base zoning to the area within the overlay. In some cases, such as the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, uses are more limited to protect sensitive features. In other cases, uses are more flexible, as we are proposing with the Workforce Housing Overlay District. Right now, workforce housing can only be developed where? In a PRD, exactly. The town currently has how many workforce housing developments? 0. Excellent. Um, what we are proposing is an overlay district that includes one 18-acre property adjacent to the school that is owned by the town. The property near the school offers a unique opportunity. Workforce housing often supports families, and locating homes near the school could help make living in Temple more feasible for teachers, school staff, and other essential workers. It's also a way to support young families who might otherwise be priced out of town, and to help Temple continue as a vibrant multi-generational community. Creating an overlay district on this property next to the school is important, even though a PRD with workforce housing could already be developed there. There are 3 main reasons to create this overlay district. First, it provides greater oversight and community safeguards. If workforce housing were permitted outside of a PRD everywhere, safeguards that help balance higher density housing, like a PRD's open space requirement, would disappear. By applying an overlay only to this specific town-owned property, the community keeps a strong safeguard in place. The town and its voters hold final authority over design and approval of workforce housing, and the rest of Temple zoning remains unchanged. This means the land cannot be developed in a way that runs counter to community interests. Second, it provides flexibility for the future. PRDs require that 40% of the land be set aside as permanent open space. Forever is a long time for a town-owned property with so much community potential. An overlay district avoids locking the land up permanently. So if community needs change decades from now, the town will still have options. And finally, this will reduce one of the biggest barriers in building affordable housing, land cost. In most developments, the cost of acquiring land drives up the price of the housing. Because this property is already owned by the town, that barrier can be removed. The town could structure an agreement where a developer builds and manages the housing, perhaps through a long-term lease, partnership, or even a housing trust. This approach makes it more financially feasible to create homes that are affordable to working families and essential workers. Now, there is no housing that is proposed on this property at this time. This merely would create more options for the town to use should something like this be pursued in the future. So what do you guys think of this as a possibility? Should the town adopt an overlay district on this one property? Could anybody support it? Oh, do you have a question? I'm sorry.
But what I heard was you put that development in there. And because it's not a PRD, all that green space up above the houses could turn into anything the town wants to turn into in the future, including more houses.
Yes and no. So this property is still subject to base density. So the number of units that you could build there, right now, the total that would be possible, if we had a 50% bonus and we applied all of the bonuses that exist in the PRD on this one lot, because workforce housing can only exist in a PRD, except in this one lot where it would exist outside of a PRD, you could only have 9 units on those 18 acres.
Limited to the same.
It's limited to the same bonus cap structure. The only thing this really would do would remove the 40% perpetual open space so that the town, if the town wants to use this land in other ways in the future, it's not locked in to the same restrictions.
Housing, but the structure.
Yeah.
That's true. It's part, stuff to us. What it basically does is gives the town more flexibility. It isn't something that just happens, but.
So would the town still own the land where the house is in?
Town right.
So we would be basically be landlords.
Yeah, we'd be leasing it or in some other way.
But also nothing is actually proposed. So whatever the future of this property would be, would begin with conversations like this.
Right. So yes, it is because you have to envision what people might do. Or you're gonna write rules to shoot you for.
Well, when we discussed that at the point in time when the developer says that I could develop that. I would need you to change the rules, that would be the time.
Yeah, all we're saying is we have an option here, that we later decide what we're gonna do.
We talked about overlay districts in town, but who, how is that, who gets to say where they're gonna be? You know, it obviously would be ultimately the vote of the whole town, but you just pick somebody's property because Mr. and Mrs. Smith have a beautiful 75-acre parcel of land that would be perfect for development for an overlay, so we thought about that, we said, well, who are we to be, to pick that? You know, to do that, so, but
Yeah.
this is different because this is town owned.
It's town owned land, this is the only parcel we're thinking about.
It's affordable or the type of housing we're thinking about creating, workforce housing right next to the school, so it's just kind of a.
Question about that, though, because if it's a single piece of property that you're considering applying the overlay district to, is that not spot zoning, which is illegal?
I don't know that spot zoning is illegal. It's just frowned upon. If that answers your question. They do. They do. They do recognize overlay districts. And because this is a town-owned property, it's very unique. You know, it's not a private property that's being selected for an overlay district for increased flexibility. It's a community property, and everybody has a say in what happens on it in a much larger way than private-owned property, which is a safeguard for having an overlay district on it.
You guys are looking for somebody to come develop it, then it's vote on it, and somebody says, yeah, I can develop it, turn it into an overlay.
Yeah, so we're not looking to do that, any levels or anything like that, but I will say that the state legislature has been considering legislation to support communities that have found on land who want to do some affordable housing.
That was really gonna be my question.
Yeah,
What is your incentive
So-
to do this?
gives us the possibility. I mean,
Because-
we've lost pictures. Because of the just support the state there.
But is the state considering rules around communities having to have an option for workforce housing for the community?
Well, there is a state law right now that says we have to allow workforce housing, so
Wow.
we do. And what is the exact wording? It's like reasonable.
Well, there's the fair share. I can't remember. Yeah. It will demonstrate that the community is trying to comply, that the community does not have barriers preventing this from happening. So,
We have sold down property in the past for years.
So would that be a source of revenue if we're releasing it to
But
somebody?
eventually, it depends on what kind of agreement we come up with the developer.
And there's a lot to look at there because we have to have somebody to do that. We have to have somebody to take care of all that stuff. There's a lot that goes into that we're not looking at this point, which I think is something that we need to look at when we do this as well. There's a lot of things that go on here, and if the town wants to be a landlord, then that's a whole nother realm. The town's never been a landlord to any properties other than, when we take them for taxes. So that certainly has to be a consideration.
So we would want a contract with somebody to do that oversight.
Right.
It would be on that.
Yeah, the developer wants to come in, you would say, you have to maintain all the property.
Well, there's housing trusts that she said it's
Yeah.
not necessarily the developer who could be, but.
I know that you think that we're responsible for
So if we separate out farm equipment from the state. And just look at your point on what's, can we attract, some housing with teachers for, so you keep yelling at school. What does this do in addition to the other changes that really demonstrably encourages that development to happen?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Case studies to show that these changes that are being recommended are going to attract the kind of
No one has a crystal ball, but in Antrim, changes similar to this are attracting different types of development.
why do I think it's further compared to the existing changes to the PRD rules with some bonus workforce size housing, workforce scale housing to be part of this? Why do I need to do something special here to further encourage it?
Just to not lock the town-owned land into something that in 50 years might not make sense. It's just about providing flexibility for the future, because once it's in a PRD, that open space is locked up forever. And again, as it's town-owned land, there's a benefit for flexibility.
PRD really can't resolve, that is in conservation forever.
Yep.
Another thing to look at is really language gonna make a break of time. And it's gonna do what we need it to do.
I think it'll help.
Sure. All aspects, I think if you're looking at the whole big picture, where you have to look at a whole lot more than 9 little units for the school.
Again, we're not actually saying anybody's gonna build this, we're saying, let's have an overlay district so we can do something with it, but personally, I don't think we do it, it's.
Right, I agree. I feel like we're hearing that there's not support for this. Is that just like?
I'm with you. I don't understand why we need to vote on it now.
The only possible thing is, and that's what we voted on the town meeting, so say something came up, in the end of March, that was a year before we think it got out.
Good question. If we did create a workforce housing overlay district, does it preclude us from solar?
Yeah.
No.
That's. Gives them, more financial incentives if housing is tied to it.
So it'd be the same building constraints in terms of number of units, base ratio, subject to setback and all the rest of that. What I'm hearing the fundamental difference is this would give additional flexibility that doesn't require locking in the protection of open space forever.
Correct.
And the town could do whatever the town voted to do, for good or bad, with that land that otherwise would have been open space.
Correct.
Did I understand correctly, that by making a workforce housing overlay district, we increase the probability that somebody wants to throw solar in?
No, they're looking at solar regardless of whether or not we do workforce housing overlay, the town would still vote on that. So it just, if the town decided they wanted to be solar and there was housing that they could tie to it, then they get grant for that. But they could have them separately or not at all.
Alright, so
The option is that that area is pretty wet. Seasonally very wet. So it seems to me that there could be some limitations in the number of houses you're proposing in the sketch.
Yeah.
But may exceed what could be said.
Absolutely. This is 100% conceptual, not even conceptual. It's just demonstrating what could be possible if conditions are correct.
So Sarah, there are just more questions in my mind than I had when I came. I mean, I walk my dog along there every day. And I live just out of the country. And the last thing I wanna see is bank after bank of town-owned solar arrays. That's not ten. You know, if they put them way back in the woods where no one can see them, fine. But. Yeah, otherwise, what I'm hearing is it's functionally equivalent to a PRD. But with the no open space in perpetuity restriction.
Right, it's a PRD without conservation.
Right.
How are we doing for time?
I mean, we're taking more than I expected to get to this point, but that's okay because the next slide that we get to is our small group discussions, which we have been participating in all along. So if everybody would like to break into some small groups, Scott, what do you think we should do number-wise? Just half and half? Well, we have many more people sitting on this side of the room. I can have that side. What? Hmm? Oh, yeah. Do you guys want to stay as one big group as our discussion? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry.
So, Bill, you've got good information, but I do want to, get our come out to committee, so. If you're okay to stay, right, we'll move forward, if not, we can come back in 2 weeks.
Sarah, if I might, it might even be fine just to keep everybody together. We split the room into two. We're gonna have this competing dialogue.
That's true.
Unfortunately, there's someone like me where my voice is very loud, it's very echoey. I think the discussion that you're having right now with folks is incredible. Yeah, I think we should just continue on what we're doing. It's not like we have, 75 people in the room. Usually we would split into two smaller groups to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to say what it is that they want to say, but I don't think we're gonna have that problem.
I think it would be better to give people that opportunity because
Okay.
we're having people that haven't made a comment, but.
Happy to do it.
Okay. Yeah, we can split. So what we're talking about is up here on the screen. We're talking about the density bonuses, the overlay district, and these small unit multifamilies. And we want to know what your questions or concerns are and what additional information would help you feel more confident before voting on these amendments, should they move forward to the town vote.
We lived in a German home. One is a German home, 6 American families. That is where the one that.
I don't think we have no tablet.
So if they drive down there, and you walk on that again, I'm half mile down the road. And it was my grandparents, the 2 sons, and 1 year how much they for you guys who don't know.
I don't know why.
Different family, right?
And,
Did what I doing, said, I'm telling the way I write this afternoon, you know, the she's, the pilot, she was. Things like that, I was sitting out there. She fell down the stairs and took my help up to down the units. Go back in the that over set. One of the ladies studying, she's such a say a hot.
Yeah, that's the charge. So long as it's just like consuming, decide how much safety can, my job is in the management element, you know, sessions for all over, all of the county, open classes, small communities, like, oh, that's why I got the first week. So now you have to go around the place, well, I say you. All right. Well, town property vertical, but that's really great, the small town, you know. Big cities of where politics, but small town. The perfect example is the old yes, but that makes sense. There were also some concerns about what maybe I believe. So that's kind of what I do. I care. I'm not paid to do it. Only actually they myself refund county. You folks pay county taxes. Provide you services from the university to your community. I have no, I only know what Sarah has told me a little bit over the last couple of weeks about what you're going on. So, but that's really what I do. So, really what I can seems to me there's some fresh on the community proposal. Everybody really got some showing not come from these capacity. The bonus program, the overlay district. So we moved here. Going through.
So,
And
again, I'm not sure.
we moved here because it's okay.
Because every place we ever move, you further out, further away. And milk, grass, okay. We were in garden. You know, the school ever gets so ready for that side, I just want to be on for you, and I live across the street from the school, whatever against that was. And the last thing I wanted to see is multifamily housing in development. All of this as proposed makes sense to me with the PRDs. State the natural constraints that are here. That all makes sense. The overlay district thing, I'll vote no on everything if the overlay district goes in, because I don't trust the future voters to not break it. And to me, I don't care, there's a lot of talk about this. Options, it's beautiful, it's quiet, you don't even have a street light, let alone traffic. What are the like that? And I've been speaking on more traffic, I went on 45, people get out traffic. You know, so I can see a PRD on the store town, so it's not how we're used to they were. You know, oh, it's what you can do years from now. There's 4,000 solar panels spreading the edge of the road, because by the way, that's the insurance system, and they're protecting in my house. So it's good, but actually it's small. It's the first time. We actually talk about. That's why we have 18 acres, you can get. There's all 14,000.
They're not, there's not that side, it's just for the top of the wings.
I'm sorry, I see. Connection is separate thing from my office. Okay, but my point is, I'm not going to support the other ones. If I know there's back door way in the courthouse and panel by the big out in the second. So, yeah, we totally kind of make it fair. So that's literally, and I'm sorry, sure the house street in the state. What's the name that? I'm worried about when Mark stops from doing the default, I'm more worried about what he does for his. Okay, how's that? Sure. Well, no, sketch of them. If that was media daylight, all you'll see is this little world. That's it.
Yeah, my concern is similar. I don't want to, you know, people that. You know, there's all 500, so, you know, much beyond that little teacher, and all the service people who depend on.
Yeah, we get that. You saw me in the digital around there, Sarah, I don't know, this, you know, and see that's very different. Something on. Where you can't show us this, we're hearing the rarely saying that. Exactly, but it's just like. People that word, that's not. Yeah, I think that's really some flaw.
This is the most typical community I've ever lived. Would be good if everybody seems to be doing something. Probably a quarter of the people seem to be doing something. You know, in most communities, there's a few people who run it and everybody does their own business. Here, everybody's involved. It's very simple. Go on. If it goes from there. So that's, you know, what's the density, what's in it for us? For the density lots, you guys are doing this one, it's very little.
All I'm gonna do, they're, you know, I don't know what I'm with.
Right, but it's, they sure do.
Hey, thanks. Look at it, here's the different things that the state's trying to do and that
Better solution.
maybe we should consider. Ways that are happening, when we talked about the overlay district, we're like, nobody, the first problem was nobody's gonna want that. And frankly, because it's like, it's out on the campus. And it's mixed in school, and I'm like, you know, it might be a perfect place for it. But to be, just like nobody wants to do that. For the South Carolinas, that's like a year over year, you don't change the character, you're that person. Right? You're gonna have half a dozen things. That's not a sickness of place, it's not a negative, it's still rocking, it's the other way. It's not terribly, this thing makes sense. The thing that is new, you know.
Well, no. I'm still trying to understand, so the state, and this may all get said, no, sorry, overlay, that's me.
My point is, that wasn't, please don't take that. I understand that, you're asking me, I'm saying, where would we put this? And the only reason we even consider that is to have something, because if the person had one of them, it's good for what's here stuff, so we have to order for the town,
And it may be property association. And it's real simple, what's in house on top, everybody goes on something, something they have. That's the same now, so you can, and what it's, we should kind of sort of be hold on that. Hinted at. The state's pushing us to do something, if we don't do this, what's that thing from that? We haven't addressed that.
Yeah. Right, that it would stay as our institutional.
But I can hear that, you know, we have that, there are about that. Yeah. Or we have ERD. That's good. I mean, there's. You're acting good. We won't call smoke around the game. So, yes, there's something in it for us. But also, one change the state that basically turn, if there's money attached to you. We are not have reducing improvements, because there used to be a requirement for us towards stress, office going stress, and fires, and HCS. We are going to have those mountains, so that's something that's going to take so long to separate. There's gonna be money coming out of this, so we don't get selling with. That might be whatever the is, whether it's. Oh, we do become a landlord, but this money helps us fix the library. Or whatever, that might be a part of the sale that we need to do, because quite frankly. I move the town.
You know, that people have filled it. You know,
Absolutely, it's okay with compensation cost. Situations, more houses, small houses, but if we don't react, the state may do something worse. Or, you know, if we don't do anything, you may have to dig into a pot, so be all over repairs. There is a downside in not getting it. I just don't understand that it's. Well, when we work on these, reviews, Instead of a couple units a week.
It was wonderful, like, you could, I was able to change it from 6 acres, to 3 acres, yeah, so you make double lots.
So yeah, it's just that one.
Yeah, it was 6 acres.
And
And we had so much stuff, so we had quite a bit of pushback.
and not
So
so.
what we did now, we're finally doing this. So I wouldn't go buy some medication, pass that. So I, so here, no, that's fine, I got some. But for now, you can go.
I got two ADUs just on that street.
Yeah, but so it says you pass the new tax going from 6 acres to 3 acres, there's down 1 per have. That's smart, so we got.
I got two in-laws, split things, bolted on the house. Yeah, it's attached.
There's been no details, city bids of the. Not on the lot of it. It's, I didn't know, so they scared that, so you could research. How fast I'm using, so the problem.
So that 1 year, like he's now.
Yeah. it's all, you know.
You have to hold the piece on, there's studies done of it, and it's added on to both.
And 90% of this is gonna be so disgranular.
Right, it's just setbacks.
Those two, especially, are just gonna constrain any.
Well, but
So that's
you don't want to make a move based on the fact, oh, no, it's gonna do it.
Exactly,
Right, they have to make rules assuming
But
that we have good land and like that.
a couple of, we get a lot of questions all the time about 89 what's allowed and what's not allowed. That's most of the subject that I'm bad because you're a fan or you're responsible to and I'm worried about that or you know, it's always sort of a more question. I would say it's the last 2.5 years now, maybe one exception and now it makes any difference in the chat. Well, if they leave it over, instead we first that, yeah, we work out some. And feel right.
They'll just mostly are attached.
Yeah.
They're very detached.
Yeah.
Because there is guys who should be on that too, so you basically build from mini homes, right?
Right.
So they don't, just if I want to do it, you might have to do something,
Right.
or well, you know, it depends, so.
But I was gonna see back to your question about what's our sales pitch and which not, that is not something you have to have, that I are things that are not house, I find all the border shelter, it's nothing in Peterborough, which people think there's no. Well, people in our area, there are a lot, but there's a lot. So, however, in terms of the temple, I mean, they're not gonna come to that, it would, most temple, so what can we do? When we did the last round of grants, some people lost, they did starting to very overwhelming, they affected that, it's supposed to be rural character, and we don't want to see it, we heard all of it, so when you look at the January, that's what we focused on, it's what we need to do that has minimal impact. It's more than conservation, wildlife, corridors, that also that is, we did explore that, you know, that's on it, like, that's what we did show you the changes, so that's what we consider. I think it'll be housing for.
Well, I think
The years are
so.
that we kind of.
If I made it changes, you're gonna bring more people to town.
Minimal max.
What's that, can we make? Right,
Vibrant and long lasting sustainable community and people not parked. Production and road, seven are.
yeah, well, I don't know, well, diverse, diverse, yeah. So, you know, the guy that puts the garbage, the police officer, the school teacher,
Restaurants.
your hairdresser. They all get out and look for a single department. They can't, that single one will come along, get out. So it's a question, you want to have, whatever people do, what do you want them to do? Do you want to be a good patient? And this allows the same, those people like Mr. Rogers, people in the neighborhood, you know.
Seniors too, I mean, there's that's the senior housing, years long, but and we make. Ton of money, so if we wanna have people around, that's state and. Really, there's a lot.
$9,000 tax bill that was due. But you can have many views for our in-laws or for our kids for like otherwise than just somebody with the same, you know, they should be.
Right.
Some of my concerns is ADU personally, on paper, what we're doing with charities.
Yes.
Yes, there's
Section.
a lot of people that would feel they don't need to use or say it doesn't work, yeah, and all this, that's really something. An attached and a detached. So yeah, he's, what was well, we have 4 Mission 5 charities. What I doing, I'm not saying what's out of it, I'm saying $50 none of that is. It don't talk about something to report there. That for children.
Okay.
Like we abstract, there's other people, the elderly that I mean, you know, seem like.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm pretty sure that here, so here, when talk to her, she less than 50, and then think, she need all in that running very close consultation with people. That's all you said. I got 4 lines, I said that I feel on more. That, yeah, that way. Well, they have, see, I
So the 2 of them, ski acres, one side drive this year, one of them drive next year. Yeah, I know it's not easy. I always say, I already worked the little hut, that's why we're doing. So I. Looking at 2 acres, days, or she's already. Supposed to be reasonable.
reasonable, and then so
That's where I see it. So we have the time that it's from.
the state law.
That, like, what we were just talking about, everybody growing up. Okay, for some, all right. Well,
It's something like this.
Go out.
It could define that without having to.
And that's what, you were just saying, well, it's functions of baby.
Yeah.
That was a baby. So that's.
They would have those same 2 acres.
You know,
Which is part of where that. And total. But they are property values here, I'm just trying to.
Let's calculate that.
I have 60 acres and 66.5.
So they were trying to receive more, if you have grabbing to the pay in the or majority of. On it, individual questions, thousands from her, seeing about. Allow you to leave out.
Up to a 9.
Voice my. Yeah, that.
Better.
I just want line of it. And I not sort of thinking, I it works with the information tonight. I have not looked at any of this because so that anything that like when you were talking or you put them back to you can and is that so until you can really clearly answer that and then give us not super pictures about stuff you look like bills. And then adding what it should look like, people that and all those ADUs that you'll get.
It took us 2 years to get to like, obviously too many other people. You know, and then finally got through, and now all of a sudden it's like step 1, and we got 2. I don't think it's gonna solve, boom, all that else, it just feels to me like it's a lot to digest. You know, usually where most of us really care, it's solar, and just solar in here. I think
Okay, first, there's one that's, well, man, no, the only thing.
Well, I was gonna say.
And then usually it's going to go to the ADU, some relationship here. I think we have to take that back and say.
Yeah.
Either. Either address it, you know,
We don't get to national, I couldn't find a partner there that.
It's not
so.
No,
State law.
state law. So like we see, everybody
It's down to.
yeah, because that clearly.
You are part of the.
Don't like the idea of clear, you said.
Now, we can talk about this. That's a key part of the. You know, I don't know that I'm sold on 50% of the, or she said. I really appreciate you understand. I'm not sure these. Here's all the great ones. Yeah, this is the best place to do spaces. It's all the like, very good about that stuff. Now, we must keep the line, build, I don't have information before. And we try to. Yes, you know. And you guys, started on my lab. The whole guys that we like. What they like is something, I mean, is, my first thought is like, we're so much, you know. For any of these PRUs, the first owner is gonna go with the they're gonna buy it cheap. I think it's so far. This is kind of how it works. There are some, the only other problem that I had, Jerry, they're small. They're decent sized houses. You know, the 1,200 square foot max. If that is required, now you're gonna have affordable housing, you probably be stay for it, because if you're talking about it is for, multi-unit condo type of things. The so smart with, and I also agree that the ADUs have to be held at legislative level, not HOAs or something. That's too pushy.
The FOAs can be amended.
Yeah, it has to be.
In each of the documents, you can have different optional items that require different, so you can have things that are not choose or that they have to always apply for the future. So if they have something said you can't do, that is part of the.
All these people go on and do other things. Different zoning board. And the HOA document comes in, yeah, we got 60 years on here. That's not enough. Yeah, you should see that's why, that's only one from the legislature. That's what I'm but then I'm trying to do it in the zoning, so that it affects more. It has to be done by regulation, it's not HOA. Does that start with? It's changes it with every development. It is, it's how it's done. And you have to, anybody who wants to see it, sometimes you change it, you gotta get 1%. I don't want to live with that, remember that. Of course, I years ago, we started building lines here. Like, working on that, so you here, the schools are, we got, you supply, bring up where you don't want to live on that. I mean, that's, it was, so I think it's, what they did, I mean, the artists, like, my little, reached out to everybody, we're actually, that one, nobody still likes the parents. No, you likes it, for some reason, but, well, it's just like when you drive through Worcester, you see people accessing traffic, like all of us, for each other. Yeah, no. It's an emotional reaction. That's the problem. Yeah, you see, and it's funny, but if you keep what was presented, we've got setbacks, we've got base density, and we've got bonuses and things that make sense, and they're not here. And maybe say something like the MAC the house, but sort of like they've shown that. Well, the thing about it, obviously, it's like this. Yes, there's always rebuilding and there's one drug and one power, the power. You're just saving for the you're not. That's rather than building 3 houses on my end, you're building 3 in one. That's right. Saving wildlife force, saving open space, saving all the infrastructure. So you write it off on each somebody, but all that. Yeah, that's what nobody wants to look at. They don't want that fun, but that's what they're community security also doesn't is clear enough to me. So yeah, I think it should know that. We can handle the handy.
What people can considering.
No shape.
Open space, no.
No shape. No. How should those that's
That's the big 2020, it's like if you wanted to 5% said. The new flood, you're having cost factor sale, yes, what's wrong? And the other 42% said, no, it's one outside of the office.
So I think
So at that point in time, it was, pretty divided on the whole area. And I'm wondering from our experts here, if you guys have seen any, issues in all of the.
So I just add one comment, because I think terminology really matters a lot, and I didn't know that about it. Thanks.
Easy way for that.
Before tonight, when I heard open space, that meant to me, open new space, you could see everything. Okay, and that's clearly not what open space means, it's not actually open space, it's protected because in nature. It could be, the next strong, I look out from our. That's open space for me, I've gotten used to it, they got the white numbers. That's rural care, right? I love it. I don't bitch about the smell, but to me, that's open. Oh, that's. And all fine.
Yes, I
More like this.
because I dig into it when we had the sessions from the last round. Really, she always on that and there were questions, and I think the answer was it's.
Right.
Yeah.
With three, or any guy that would be house. With five, the same. Pretty good. Use the server parent is better. The building three McManus. Yep, on that same space.
Nope, I was looking for those checks. Why are these checks here? Why is that plan here?
It's right here, I'm screwing up, so I have to, the Dublin's own, so the like, maybe things, the Dublin's not. Yeah, so I guess that parts of it, well, you tell us, trying to process.
And to have in
Somebody's.
Yeah. And not that that's the worst thing, because like, renters aren't all bad. That way it says.
You're right. Hey, folks, I'm sorry, Sarah. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We have to sign that.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you the secretary?
No, I'm not the secretary.
Yeah. We almost sent him down about this.
Oh, we're really attached.
Yeah. Well, we can check it, you know. That's what I'm here.
I think she may want to just give a report out.
Honestly, down here.
See, what date today is the percent?
That's the date that we approved. So was the last meeting. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up.
Okay, you guys, all I'm gonna say from our group is that we might be okay with 50%, but we don't like shared services. We've lost them. Okay. Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming this evening. My computer fell asleep, so I can't advance the slide. We will be here again in 2 weeks, same time and place, for further discussion if you like.
That's what it's starting to.
One goes in town, Mr. Bird.
Oh, I just need one.
Hey, you want to go? I was surprised to hear the lady from, what's her name, from the, transcript both. Usually they don't. That was really interesting of her. It's not what a reporter's supposed to do. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Okay, we're all. On here. Take care of business.
Actually, tell that why. But not a very good one either. Yes. There's always slanting stuff, yeah. Oh, yeah, you know what happened to him? He probably got promoted.
Anything comes up between now and then, please.
Okay.
Anyone, please don't hesitate. You know, I, like you guys, take my direction from Sarah. Well, please don't hesitate.
Okay,
I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
thanks. Thanks for.
Oh, I think.